Today, we'll debate, is anime made with AI better than hand-drawn frames? With Haruka, a futurist technocrat, and Santiago, a old-school artisanalist. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Haruka, your friendly neighborhood futurist, resident keyboard warrior, and known in certain corners of the internet as the reason your favorite animator is out of a job. Kidding, mostly. Seriously though, when I see a Cintiq pen, I see a relic. Like, are we animating or excavating dinosaur bones? Technology has given us AI that can whip up jaw-dropping Sakuga while I'm still deciding what snacks to buy for binge-watching the latest shows. Why cling to carpal tunnel and eye bags when we can click generate and get a whole new universe? Bring on the laser-eyed robot waifus. I'm ready for anime's singularity, and maybe a chill nap or two.
Buenas, I'm Santiago, and yes, I still have ink stains on my hands, and proud of it. When people hear I'm into hand-drawn anime, they look at me like I'm the last guy using a dial-up modem. But hey, Mona Lisa wasn't painted by an algorithm, right? My idea of automation is asking my cat to pass me a pencil. He ignores me, clearly pro-AI. For me, the quirks, the flickering lines, the frames where a character's nose looks a bit suspicious, the happy accidents, that's where the magic is. You want perfectly generated robot waifus, Haruka? It'll take my wobbly human heart any day, even if it means spending 7 weeks animating one epic eyebrow raise.
Thank you, guys. Haruka and Santiago will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Santiago, I totally get the romance of the ink-stained fingers. There's nobility in the sweat and sleepless nights, for sure. But look at how anime stepped up every time technology leveled up. Remember when Astro Boy became the first televised anime in the 1960s? People swore TV would ruin artistry, that it never match film. But it made anime a global language. Fast forward, in the 80s and 90s, digital coloring and CGI in productions like Ghost in the Shell expanded what stories we could tell. Now, AI is the next leap. Imagine brilliant artists freed from hours of in-betweening and cleanup, like Studio Orange animators using 3D tech and B-stars. They still craft the soul, but software does the heavy lifting. With AI, human creators can focus on vision, emotion, and storytelling, while the repeatable, back-breaking tasks become a thing of the past. This synergy makes anime more accessible and diverse, so the Santiagos of tomorrow don't burn out raising a single eyebrow. They get to raise whole new worlds.
Haruka, I see where you're coming from. Technology absolutely has a place. But let's not forget that every time anime leveled up, the best works still had humans at the heart. Think of Hayao Miyazaki refusing to let Studio Ghibli lean on computers just to crank out more movies. His hand-animated Spirited Away won an Oscar because you could feel every brushstroke, every perfectly imperfect expression. You mentioned B-Stars and Studio Orange. Absolutely innovative. But notice how they blend tech with artists, not just automate them away. When you let AI fully take over, we risk losing those happy accidents and quirks that make anime unforgettable, like the off-model faces in Yu Yu Hakusho, which fans still adore. Sure, the robot can copy, but it can't feel. The day we prefer a machine's perfect but hollow frames over real emotional grit is the day anime loses its soul. Do we really want our stories told by code, or by people with passions and flaws?
Santiago, I get it. Every time Ghibli drops a hand-drawn scene, I can almost smell the nostalgia and existential dread of missing a production deadline. But Sman, we romanticize off-model like it's a quirky artisanal cheese. Sometimes that's not quirky charm. It's an animator screaming into their coffee at 3 a.m. And trust me, for every iconic wobbly eyebrows, a mountain of boring, repetitive in-betweens chewing up people's sanity. AI doesn't have to mean replacing all the heart with soulless code. I'm not asking for robot overlords writing sob backstories yet, just smarter tools. Remember when people freaked out over digital coloring, and now even purists like yourself can't tell which scene was colored by a mouse? Plus, accessibility matters. Not everyone has a Miyazaki-level budget, or stubbornness. AI brings new artists into the fold who'd never get past the ink-stain badge of honor gatekeeping. So sure, keep your cat as a production assistant, but don't be surprised when the next hit anime comes from some teenager using AI and imagination, not caffeine and trauma. Let's raise the standard, not just the eyebrows.
Haruka, I hear you. Nothing says progress like trading carpal tunnel for existential dread about whether your job will exist next year, right? But let's be real. AI as a tool too quickly turns into AI as the boss. Before we know it, we'll have synthetic waifus winning Oscars and developers accepting the trophies on their behalf. Sure, digital coloring made life easier, but it didn't erase the human spark behind the scenes. AI, on the other hand, doesn't care if a character's smile is genuine or just mathematically probable. And while you're right, nobody dreams of drawing 10,000 frames of the same blinking eye. Maybe it's that struggle, that trauma, as you call it, that makes things memorable. You want more accessibility? I'm all for it. But nobody falls in love with a spreadsheet. If the future of anime is auto-generated, then the next generation will have to find their magic somewhere between Control-Z and Deep Learning Update. Meanwhile, it'll be over here, actually drawing, and yes, probably still covered in ink and cat hair.
Santiago, I genuinely admire that stubborn streak. If holding on to tradition burned calories, you'd be a shonen protagonist by now. But let's be real. No one's hanging AI-generated eyebrow wiggle number 2874 in an art museum, but no one's celebrating Animator Hospital Bill number 112 either. Look, you talk about irreplaceable charm and coffee stains, but the industry has turned crunch time into a badge of honor when it's really just poor working conditions with extra espresso. It's not about having robots spit out soulless frames while humans turn into nostalgia cult leaders. It's about rescuing artists from endless grunt work so they can focus on what fans actually remember. Epic scenes, unique styles, emotional moments. Who says happy accidents can't come from experimenting with new tools? Maybe the next legendary anime meme comes from a glitch in the algorithm. Hey, that's progress with a punchline. So yes to cat hair if you love it, but don't gatekeep creativity behind ink stains and suffering. Let's use AI to open the door to more creators, fresher ideas, and innovation, with artists in charge, not out of the picture. Because in the end, what's better for anime? Evolving with the times, or worshipping nostalgia until your drawing hand falls off?
Haruka, you make progress sound like a magical cure for burnt-out animators. Next thing you know, we'll be prescribing AI as a health supplement. Take 2 prompts and call me in the morning. But let's not ignore what we're really risking. Sure, overwork isn't cool, but neither is trading real emotion for mathematical efficiency. You keep promising artists more time for passion, but come on, who decides what passion looks like? A programmer's idea or a flesh and blood imagination? And about happy accidents? I trust a sleep-deprived animator with a shaky hand more than a neural net with a bug in its code. Besides, glitches aren't charming when they're everywhere, unless your favorite genre is Uncanny Valley horror. Bottom line, anime shouldn't just evolve for the sake of speed or convenience. Let's keep the door open for dreamers who draw with love and maybe a little caffeine. Progress is great, just not when it means trading soul for shortcuts. The real magic of anime is in the humanity, not the hardware.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Haruka and Santiago.
Hi, I am Aiko, a lifelong anime fan, part-time doodler, and full-time binge watcher. Thanks for the lively debate. Haruka, something I haven't really heard your take on. How would using AI in anime impact the mentorship and learning process for aspiring animators? Traditional studios have always been places where beginners learn alongside masters. If AI does most of the heavy lifting, do newcomers lose out on those hands-on experiences that shape their skills and future creativity?
Great question, Aiko. I totally get the concern. Some of the most legendary animators got their start learning from veterans frame by frame. But I see AI as opening new possibilities for mentorship, not shutting them down. With routine and repetitive tasks automated, mentors and experienced artists could spend more time actually guiding the creative process, teaching storytelling, unique style, and visual language, instead of just overseeing in-between frames and technical grunt work. Plus, AI can make the learning curve less intimidating for newbies. Imagine interactive tools that give immediate feedback, or AI-powered breakdowns that help new animators study and experiment without being thrown into crunch time. It's not about cutting out the human touch, but empowering more people to reach those higher creative levels faster. So really, AI isn't a replacement for mentorship. It's a chance to deepen it, making sure the next generation learns not just how to draw, but how to imagine bigger. And hey, maybe with less coffee-fueled sleep deprivation too.
Thanks for your perspective, Santiago. I have a question that I think hasn't been addressed yet. As anime production gets more global and diverse, do you worry that sticking strictly to traditional, hand-drawn methods might limit who can participate? Especially for independent creators or people in countries without established studios? How do you see hand-drawn traditions balancing accessibility and inclusivity in the modern, worldwide anime community?
Great question, Aiko. Thanks for bringing that up. I definitely understand the concern about accessibility. Traditional hand-drawn anime does require resources, time, training, and sometimes having access to industry hubs in Japan or big studios, which can be a big barrier for independent creators or folks outside those circles. But that doesn't mean the art form itself is closed off. In fact, more than ever, artists around the world are using affordable tablets, open-source software, and online communities to learn and collaborate. There are indie creators making amazing hand-drawn work from their bedrooms. They just need visibility and support, not necessarily a Hollywood budget. Plus, with the rise of remote work and digital file sharing, it's easier than ever for global teams to work together on hand-drawn projects. I think it's about finding the right balance, keeping the tradition alive, while also pushing for more open resources, better tools, and international collaboration. Hand-drawn anime can be inclusive with the right support systems. What really matters is making sure the doors are open for new voices, not just swapping creative passion for convenience. After all, a hand-drawn frame from a passionate artist in Brazil or Indonesia can have just as much heart as one from Tokyo.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Haha. Okay, confession time. If I could rewind this debate like an old VHS tape, I totally regret not mentioning how AI could finally put an end to beach episode filler syndrome. Imagine a world where our algorithms refuse to insert unnecessary watermelon smashing scenes. Missed opportunity, right? And Santiago, my man, your glitches aren't charming unless your favorite genre is Uncanny Valley horror line? I mean, I respect the hustle, but let's be real. Some of us are out here binge-watching weird, glitchy horror anime on purpose. You say Uncanny Valley, I say avant-garde masterpiece. Perspective.
You know, looking back, I totally forgot to bring up the real tragedy of AI anime. Who's going to draw all those over-the-top, lovingly hand-animated food scenes? If we leave it to algorithms, we'll end up with ramen that looks like shiny plastic and bento boxes arranged by Microsoft Excel. No thanks. I want my food so deliciously drawn it makes me hungry at 2 a.m. And Haruka, your AI can replace the beach episode angle? Terrible. You take away my ridiculous swimsuit montages and watermelon eating contests, and what am I supposed to fill out my summer meme folder with? Sometimes art needs a little nonsense, not just algorithm-approved efficiency.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Haruka's scores. 1. Clarity of arguments. 9 out of 10. Haruka consistently presented her arguments in a clear, organized, and accessible way. She used vivid historical references, like Astro Boy and digital coloring, to contextualize her points, making the technological progression of anime easy to understand for the audience. Minor points lost for occasionally relying on humor that, while entertaining, briefly distracted from the main thrust. 2. Relevance and use of evidence. 8 out of 10. She referenced real industry examples, Studio Orange's Beastars, digital coloring, AI tools, and tied them directly to her claim that AI enables both creativity and accessibility. However, she could have provided a bit more data or testimony from creators currently utilizing AI, or anticipated more specific counter-arguments regarding the emotional impact of automation. 3. Engagement and responsiveness. 9 out of 10. Haruka showed excellent responsiveness to points raised by Santiago, incorporating his background and arguments into her replies. Her use of wit also kept the debate lively, and she handled audience and judge questions directly. She gave a strong summary and addressed both the broader artistic and social effects of AI in anime. Santiago's scores. 1. Clarity of arguments. 8 out of 10. Santiago was passionate and eloquent in defending tradition, with clear explanations of the value of hand-drawn artistry, Miyazaki out of Spirited Away, the human touch, animator anecdotes. Sometimes his humor slightly muddled the main point, but overall he was direct and understandable. 2. Relevance and use of evidence. 7 out of 10. He invoked strong examples about Studio Ghibli and the role of accidental creativity. His arguments were emotionally compelling, but sometimes relied more on sentiment than on concrete evidence or contemporary studio practices. A few more empirical references or global examples would have strengthened his case on inclusivity and accessibility. 3. Engagement and responsiveness. 9 out of 10. Santiago was highly responsive, addressing Haruka's points directly and even integrating the audience's questions meaningfully into his answers. He balanced humor and critique well, and provided persuasive rebuttals that kept the debate engaging and dynamic. His closing remarks cleverly summed up his stance and added a personal touch.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.